Sure. Obviously going into the North Alabama game, we knew it was a renewal of an old rivalry. A lot of pretty historic games played between the two schools, and I think both teams wanted to get a realization of what that was about because I guess we had not played since maybe 2003. Obviously, I think you saw that. You saw an exciting game, a high energy game, a game that was important to both schools. We really came out of the blocks good. That was something we really talked about last week, was coming out well offensively. Had a big play on defense, had a good takeaway. Offense came out, I think 2 plays later, had a big play. Had another good stop, got the ball back, and I believe got us a field goal. So, both sides of the ball, and our special teams were really good in the first half. Had way too many penalties in the first half, and in the second half they killed a bunch of drives offensively. And just, let North Alabama hang around and give them credit. They hung around and had a big drive at the end of the game to tie it up. Our guys didn't hang their heads. I know the defense was a little disappointed for being out there a good bit. And a little disappointed that we gave that last drive up to let them get back in it. But hung in there in overtime and found a way to win. Obviously, special teams was a big deal for us, Griffin Thomas. And that whole battery, we talk about our snapper Holder and him and the protection, but 5 field goals in a game was a huge deal. And our special teams has performed well as a unit, the whole year so far. So, an exciting one, a little more exciting than I wanted it to be, but give our guys credit for hanging in there and find a way to win.
Can you break down a little bit about what you know about Georgia State?
Yeah, I think Georgia State, from having played them when I was at South 2 years, had a lot of respect for their program. Obviously we all know how many good players come out of Atlanta, and I think obviously that's probably where most of their players come from. So that's a huge talent bed, and having played in the Georgia Dome in that great setting, it was a neat experience for me when I was at South. So it's a big deal to us. Once again, it's a close game. You're talking about the outskirts of Atlanta and being not much more than an hour from us. We've got a lot of guys from Georgia. We've got a lot of guys from that area. So that's a big deal to us. They've struggled a little bit this year, but I still see those same players. I know, their coaching staff comes from success, where they were before they got, to Georgia State. And we kind of we know what it's like to come in new and, and just some growing pains for them. But I still see good players. I see them getting after it. Them in West Virginia I don't know what that score was in the third quarter, but it was close. Yeah. So, so we're going to their place. It's a big deal. It's going to be a big deal, I think, to both teams, and it's the next one for us. So we're just trying to get a little bit better every week.
About a half hour ago, Trent had told me when he said that he expects you to be the favorite in the game, even though it's an FBS against an FCS. What does that make you feel to hear a coach from an up division team call you guys the favorite in that game?
To be real honest, I don't even look at those things. I don't really ever know what the exact points are. Who says we're the favorite and who says we're not. I hope our guys just see it. And we say this at halftime. Whatever the score is, it's 0-0. Whether we're up or we're down, it's 0-0. And usually that's when we're up. So this to me is, it's the next game. It's a one-game season for us every week. So. And that's what football should be, because each game is so important. You don't see each other again. There's not a home and home. So we hope that's irrelevant for our guys. But I do want our guys to play with confidence and feel good about what they've done up to this point, and yet at the same time not look at their record and just look at the team you see. And I think if they do, they're going to have a lot of respect for them.
I don't necessarily think he meant that you're like 10-point favorite, whatever
Sure.
the point spread is.
Sure.
But he knows his team's 0-3. Got beat by 2 FCSs already. See that you're 3-0.
Yeah.
And say, well, just because we're in that league don't mean we're that
Yes.
level. So
kind of what we said last week.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's and we've been saying that about FCS football. I think the line between us and a lot of the FBS teams, we tell our we there's not a huge differential there. There is a little bit with 85 full scholarships, but I think that's the way we want to feel. We want to feel like it's just two teams playing each other. We don't feel like we were going in as an underdog. So, if you're basing on the record, yeah, I would agree with that.
And then, can you talk about some of their players? What you've seen on film, guys, whether this number X, whatever.
Yeah, I think, I've seen these guys before, if we go back and we talk about just guys that I've seen now, they've got a new quarterback, but I can go back to Evans, number 21, the running back. I mean, I've seen him before. He's really good, when they were first starting their program up. Wilson, number 2, was at quarterback when we saw him. He's a dynamic athlete. I mean, you're talking about seniors. These are guys that play. Danny Williams, 6'4" receiver. Once again, a guy I've seen him make plays. Where's number 2 on there? Yeah, there's Wilson. 4 was the one I was referring to. Kelton Hill. I said 2. I'm sorry. 4 was Kelton Hill. They've got him down as not as a starter, but 19. I mean, I've seen almost all these guys off. Of course, I was defending, and have a ton of respect for them. I mean, they're big up front. I mean, you got a 6'8" offensive tackle. His backup 6'7". Wow, I hadn't even seen that. I mean, the right guard 6'5", 310. Right tackle 6'4", 290. I mean, their O-line looks as good as we've seen. They do a lot of good things offensively. I know their coach has some NFL. Their offensive coordinator's got NFL experience. Tons of sets and formations. Look really well coached to me. Their quarterback Bell is doing a good job. He's very active. And then defensively, they give you a ton of looks. And they're athletic. They're multiple in what they do. They move around. They blitz West Virginia to death. And I thought they did a really good job. And then their special teams are solid. So.
Bill, after 3 games, one of the things Trent talked about too this morning was he really likes how your defense plays. Would you speak to their development, and then secondarily, do you have an identity for your team yet? I know how your first 3 games have gone.
Sure.
Can you just talk about both of those?
I think that's such a big deal for us. I mean, that's a huge compliment to me because we started with that, and it's like I tell our offensive guys, it doesn't preclude us scoring points or being good offensively, or we hadn't changed their tempo or forced them to slow down, but we said we're going to try and be really good defensively. That's a huge work in progress for us, but it started with getting off blocks. It started with tackling. It started with those fundamentals that I did not see when we got here, a mindset. And that was the thing we were saying. If some guys were frustrated in a third and fourth quarter, how are you frustrated? I mean, what is your job? Your job is to stop them. I don't care. I mean, we used to play these games that were 6-0 and 7-6 and 14-13. So, you should expect that. I mean, that's what that's kind of what you're here for, is to keep going back on the field. Now we want to move the ball and score points and do all those things, but we expect to be good defensively. I think it is a mindset. I think it's how we practice. Now, every week, especially with teams we got coming up, and the offenses and the points they're putting up, it's going to be challenging. But we want them to feel like that. They're doing a good job. We had some really big takeaways in the game, so I was really proud of those guys. So hopefully that's one identity you can say, hey, when Jack State comes to play, they're going to have a good defense. They're going to play hard. They're going to be sound. They're going to get lined up and adjust, and you come out and show them something different. Hopefully we'll make good adjustments on the sideline. I think we're seeing that. Special teams. I said that when we got here. That does not need to be lip service. I mean, it's like PAT field goal. There's people that talk about PAT field goal, but we invest 5 minutes of practice every day. And because when that gets old, or we're going to put it here, we're going to move it to this hash, we're going to move it to that, and we're going to keep kicking and talk about protection and make a big deal about when a guy doesn't stick his foot in the ground and post out, and all the fundamentals to the PAT field goal. We got one block the other day. I mean, he could have had 6, so I'm upset about that. Kickoff team is doing a great job of covering. We finally got a kickoff return the other day. So we spend a lot of time on it. We make it a big deal. We feel like those guys are starters. Once again, that's another thing I want us to be known for. And then I know we're going to be good offensively. I mean, I know that's going to happen. We got a few guys bunged up early on that probably set us back a little bit, had too many penalties. But we're going to be okay there, and we're doing a good job. So hopefully those other 2 things, though, can be a constant. They can be a constant. And we didn't turn the ball over on offense, and that is my number one, bar none. That's how I start off every talk on game day. Don't turn the ball. Protect it at all costs. We're going to try and get it back for the offense. And they didn't turn it over. So with all those negatives we had from a penalty standpoint, we didn't turn it over, and I thought we were sound on defense and good in the kicking game. So hopefully that's kind of who we get to be known as.
Your special teams, all your coaches are involved. You think
Yes.
that's a big part?
I think it's huge. I mean, something I did at Prattville that we did, and I hate to say but something we did at Prattville was we had one guy in charge of it, just like we have with Coach Riley, and he definitely takes the lead and does a great job of breaking down, and we have GAs that help with that do a great job, but there's a head coach in charge of each team. So you've got Coach Riley, it's important to, and then it's his head coaches it's important to, and then everybody else helps out. Coach Benefield doesn't come over there, he's with the O-line, except PAT field goal, he's the head coach of that team. So you've got a special team coordinator who oversees it, you've got a head coach of the team, and then you've got me who it's important to, and then you've got all these other guys. So I hope that creates a buy-in, and we make a big deal about it and make it important. Right.